The death of a loved one is something that no one should ever go through, and yet people go through it all the time. Celebrities are no strangers to such loss. In this video, we're going to talk about an NCIS star who revealed the tragic death of her family members in a heartbreaking post. If you want to know more, stick with us. Anyway, let's get right into it. First up, NCIS star reveals tragic death of her family members in heartbreaking post. An NCIS star shared that she lost 2 of her family members in the past 2 weeks. This is a tragic thing for anyone to go through, but it feels more tragic knowing that Lauren Holly, who plays Jenny Shepard in the CBS series, revealed this unfortunate news. She shared the news on her Instagram handle, saying that she lost her father and her brother in the last 2 weeks. She also went on to say, "I just want to say out loud how much I love them, how much I will miss them. Grant, Nick, Dad, little brother, sore. Hold A at all." And with that moving caption, there was also a series of beautiful throwback photos with her late family members. That Instagram post received over 3,800 likes from supportive fans who wanted to share their condolences with her, and fans made sure to share in her sorrow and stay supportive. One particular fan of Holly said, "I'm sorry for your loss, Lauren. My thoughts are with you and your family," while another said the same thing and that they were sending her hugs. Messages like these were all over the comment section of the Instagram post.
Most frightening thing. It's so frightening. I have teenage boys.
Next up, what happened to Lauren Holly's family members? As of right now, Holly or anyone else hasn't shared any details regarding the circumstances of the deaths of her brother and father, but it is pretty alarming knowing that they both passed away so soon and close to each other. Anyway, Grant and Nick both were involved in the showbiz industry. Holly's father was a screenwriter and professor, while her brother worked as a writer for many TV shows. All we know right now is that we're pretty sure that Lauren lost her father first and then her brother. According to a statement released on the 10th of December this year from Hobart and William Smith colleges, where the former worked, they shared that he was survived by his wife Susie, as well as his 2 children, Lauren and Nick, which means Nick was alive at the time the statement was released. What's the most heartbreaking thing of all of this is knowing that this actually isn't the first tragedy to hit the Holly family. In fact, back in 1992, Lauren lost her older brother in a fire. He was just 14 years old. Once in an interview, the actress mentioned him once, calling him a boy filled with dreams, hopes, and plans. Moving on, let's talk about all the celebrities who lost family members in horrific ways. Lauren isn't the only famous person to have lost a loved one. So many other celebrities have too, but some were so much more horrific comparatively. Anyway, let's list down some celebrities who lost their family members in horrific ways. Let's dive in.
The teenage victim who sadly died was the niece of a well-known Miami rapper.
First up, Trina. On the 20th of July, the rapper Trina lost her 17-year-old niece, Chester, in a horrific shooting in Miami. Apparently, she had just walked out of a corner store around midnight, according to reports when the incident occurred. And while police were immediately called to the scene, Chester was pronounced dead, and 2 other people were also found injured in the area with gunshot wounds. When people found out about this, it literally broke their hearts, considering that Trina has already gone through so much in her life. Not only did she suffer through the death of her 62-year-old mother, who lost the battle to cancer in 2019, but Will Brent Bain Jr., her brother, was also shot and killed way back in 2013 after getting into a heated argument with a friend.
Sadly announced on Wednesday that his sibling had died by suicide at the age of 36.
Next up, Darren Criss. This year, the actor Darren Criss took to social media to share the tragic news of the passing of his own brother, where he revealed the shocking news that his older brother, Charles Criss, took his own life back in February. The heartfelt tribute spanned well over a few pages, which clearly showed that the Glee alum took a lot of time putting together what he wanted to say. There, he explained that his brother had been battling depression for the past few years, and he'd also had a hard time throughout his life expressing what he was feeling, which Criss described as a dangerous combination, especially considering that meant that Charles was very good at hiding his own pain. In the beautiful yet heartbreaking post, the actor compared mental illness to a virus or some sort of malicious cancer that keeps on eating away if it's left untreated and ignored. He also reminded everyone reading the statement that admitting to your own weaknesses wasn't a sign of weakness. Instead, it's a very brave and admirable display of strength, and it's the very first and most important step on the road to recovery. Criss also made sure to encourage anyone that felt hopeless to seek out professional counseling or some sort of support, and that no matter what, love is an infinite source that's available to everyone regardless of who they are and what they've been through.
Kelsey Grammer's emotional confrontation with a man who killed his sister 4 decades.
Coming up, Kelsey Grammer. Kelsey Grammer is one of the most iconic actors in the comedy genre and is best known for his role as the psychiatrist Frasier Crane. Unfortunately, Grammer probably needed advice from someone like Frasier when he was young, considering that he lost both his father and his sister growing up. What's even worse is knowing that they were both murdered in 2 separate incidents just a few years apart. Anyways, Grammer's parents divorced when he was just a boy, and he was hardly a teenager when his father, now remarried, was murdered by a stranger right outside his own home. Apparently, Grammer's father, Frank, heard some noises outside of his house and went out to take a look, and what he found was a man who was later identified as Arthur B. Niles, literally setting his car on fire. Immediately, Niles shot Frank twice, killing him, and while the murderer was later apprehended, he was found guilty by reason of insanity. Hardly 5 years passed by when the now 20-year-old Grammer lost his 18-year-old sister Karen too. She was kidnapped and then murdered by a serial killer named Freddie Glenn. He had 2 accomplices with him, and the 3 were later captured, and Glenn was sentenced to death, but later commuted to life in prison. What's even worse is knowing that losing his father and brother wasn't cruel enough for Grammer. The actor also lost his 2 half-brothers, Billy and Steven, 5 years after Karen's death. Apparently, it happened in a scuba accident, when one didn't resurface and the other died of an air embolism after going back down in order to look for him.
Life takes me to from here on. And hold my hand, Mom.
Following up, Tyrese Gibson. On the 14th of February 2022, Tyrese Gibson announced the terrible news that he lost his own mother, Priscilla Murray Gibson, after a battle with both COVID-19 as well as pneumonia. He broke the news with a heart-wrenching video of him holding his mother's hand as he tearfully said his goodbyes to her and promised to hold her hand for the rest of his life, the way you held my hand when I was a kid. In the caption of the video, he thanked people for all their prayers, which he'd been getting from them ever since he first shared on Instagram that his mother was in a coma and hospitalized in the ICU on the 5th of February. In Tyrese's own words, this was the saddest moment of my life.
This is gonna be the job where they all find out that I'm just a total lie.
Finally, Charlize Theron. Charlize Theron might be one of the biggest names in Hollywood and is a bona fide action star who's won Oscars left and right for all of her dramatic performances and the critical acclaim for her comedy roles. But life growing up in South Africa was never easy, especially as she and her mother Grenda were constantly terrorized by her alcoholic father, Charles Theron. That violence kept on escalating until on the 21st of June, 1991, Charlize and her mother reached their breaking point. Charles was drunk and threatening the family with a handgun. He even fired it at the 2 and missed, thankfully. That was when Glenda fled into another room, took out another handgun, and shot Charles, killing him. When the authorities investigated the shooting, they declared the killing of Charles as a justifiable use of self-defense. No charges were ever filed against Charlize's mother, and Charlize, who was just 15 at the time, started telling everyone that her father had died in a car accident, so she didn't have to tell them the real story. But as she got older, she also got more comfortable talking about it. And that's a wrap for this video. Did you know about these famous celebrities who lost their loved ones? Let us know in the comments below, and make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. We'll see you in the next one.